Some Ford models will last you years without a single headache. Others will drain your wallet before you even hit 100,000 miles. And the worst part is, most people don't know this before buying theirs. But in this video, we're breaking down the ones you should trust and the ones you should avoid. Let's start with the worst ones. Number 3. Ford F-150, 2004-2008, 5.4L Triton engine. When people think about the Ford F-150, they usually think reliability, durability, and something that will last forever. And in many cases, that's true. But there's a specific generation that completely breaks that reputation if you're not careful. We're talking about the 2004 to 2008 Ford F-150, equipped with the 5.4L Triton V8. On paper, this engine seemed solid. A V8, decent power, widely available, and used in one of the most popular trucks in the world. But in real-world ownership, it became known for some very serious and expensive issues. One of the biggest problems with this engine is related to the timing system, specifically the cam phasers. Over time, these components start to wear out, and when they do, you begin to hear a very characteristic ticking or knocking noise coming from the engine, especially at idle. At first, it might not seem like a big deal. The truck still runs, still drives, and many owners continue using it without addressing the issue. But that noise is usually a sign that something inside the engine isn't functioning properly anymore. And if you ignore it, the problem doesn't stay small. Fixing cam phasers is not a cheap job. It often involves significant labor, and in some cases, it can lead to further engine damage if left unresolved. This is where ownership becomes frustrating because you're dealing with a truck that should be reliable, but suddenly requires a major repair. Another well-known issue with this engine is related to spark plugs. These engines are infamous for spark plugs breaking off inside the cylinder head during removal. What should be a simple maintenance job can turn into a complicated and expensive repair if things go wrong. So now you have a truck that can develop internal engine noise, require expensive timing-related repairs, and even turn basic maintenance into a headache. That combination is exactly what puts it on the worst list. The F-150 as a whole is not a bad truck. In fact, many versions are excellent. But this specific generation with the 5.4 Triton engine is one of those cases where the reputation doesn't match the reality for many owners. If you're looking for a Ford truck that will actually last and not surprise you with costly issues, this is one of the versions you need to be very careful with because it has all the ingredients to become a long-term headache. Number 2. Ford Focus, 2012-2016 Powershift transmission. If there's one Ford model that has frustrated more owners than almost any other in recent years, it's the Ford Focus from around 2012 to 2016. And the reason is very clear: the transmission. On paper, the Focus looked like a great option. Affordable, modern design, decent fuel economy, and a solid driving feel. For a lot of people, it seemed like the perfect daily car. The problem is that Ford equipped many of these models with the Powershift transmission, and that's where everything starts to go wrong. This wasn't a traditional automatic transmission. It was a dual-clutch system designed to improve efficiency and performance. The issue is that in real-world driving conditions, especially in stop-and-go traffic, it didn't behave the way people expected. Instead of smooth shifts, owners started experiencing hesitation, jerking, shuddering, and inconsistent acceleration. At first, many people thought it was just how the car behaved. But over time, it became clear that this wasn't normal. These weren't isolated cases either. Thousands of owners reported the same issues, and it became one of the most well-known reliability problems associated with modern Ford vehicles. The worst part is how unpredictable it can be. One day the car feels relatively fine, and the next it starts acting up again. You might notice delayed engagement when you press the accelerator, or the car might hesitate in traffic, which isn't just annoying, it can actually be dangerous in certain situations. And then comes the repair side of things. Fixing these transmission issues isn't always simple or cheap. Some owners have had multiple repairs done only for the problems to come back later. It becomes a cycle that's frustrating, time-consuming, and expensive. This is exactly the kind of issue that makes a car difficult to live with long-term. It's not just about reliability in the sense of, will it break or not? It's about consistency and trust. When you're driving your car daily, you need to feel like it's going to respond the way you expect every time. That's why, even though the Ford Focus in general isn't a bad concept, these specific years with the Powershift transmission are widely considered a risky choice. If you're looking for something dependable that won't give you constant headaches, this is one of those models you're better off avoiding. Number 1. Ford Explorer, 2011-2015, transmission issues. The Ford Explorer is one of those SUVs that people automatically trust. It's big, practical, comfortable, and everywhere. Families buy it thinking they're getting something solid that will last for years without major issues, and in some cases that's true. But there's a specific generation that has caused a lot of headaches for owners. We're talking about the 2011 to 2015 Ford Explorer. This is the generation where Ford moved the Explorer to a unibody design, making it more car-like, more comfortable, and more efficient. On paper, it was a great upgrade. In reality, it came with some serious reliability concerns, especially around the transmission. One of the most common complaints from owners is rough shifting. We're not talking about minor imperfections, but noticeable hesitation, jerking between gears, and inconsistent behavior when accelerating. Sometimes the vehicle struggles to shift smoothly, especially in low-speed driving or stop-and-go traffic, which is exactly how most people use this kind of SUV. The worst part is that these issues don't always show up immediately. The vehicle can feel fine at first, and then gradually start developing these problems over time. By the time it becomes obvious, the transmission may already be experiencing significant internal wear. And just like with many transmission-related problems, the repair costs can escalate quickly. What could start as a minor issue can turn into a much more expensive fix if it's ignored, or if the underlying problem is more complex than it seems. On top of that, this generation also had various electronic quirks and reliability complaints that added to the overall frustration. Things like sensors, infotainment glitches, and other small issues that individually might not seem like a big deal, but together make ownership less enjoyable. This is what makes this version of the Explorer a risky choice. It's not that every single unit will fail, but the probability of dealing with transmission-related problems is high enough that it becomes something you can't ignore. If you're looking for a dependable SUV that won't give you unexpected headaches, this is one of those models where you need to be very careful. Because once transmission issues start, they rarely stay small, and they're almost never cheap to fix. Alright, now that we've gone through the worst ones, let's get into the good stuff and talk about the Ford models that are actually worth owning. Let's begin with number 4. Ford F-150 2011-2017 5.0 LV8. If there's one Ford truck that consistently proves itself over time, it's the F-150 equipped with the 5.0 LV8, especially in the 2011 to 2017 range. This is one of those setups where simplicity, reliability, and real-world performance come together in a way that just works. The 5.0 V8, also known as the Coyote engine, doesn't rely on turbos, doesn't push extreme complexity, and that alone already gives it an advantage in terms of long-term durability. It delivers solid power, smooth performance, and most importantly, consistency. In trucks like the F-150, that matters a lot. These vehicles are often used for work, towing, daily driving, or a mix of everything. You don't want something that's overly sensitive or complicated. You want something that starts every day, responds predictably, and can take abuse without falling apart. Compared to some EcoBoost options, which can be great but require more careful maintenance and understanding, the 5.0 V8 is more forgiving. It handles different driving styles better. It's less sensitive to things like driving habits or fuel quality, and overall, it gives you fewer surprises. Maintenance is also more straightforward. There are fewer components that can fail compared to turbocharged setups, and when something does need attention, it's usually more predictable and easier to deal with. This doesn't mean it's indestructible, but if you take care of it with basic maintenance, this engine can easily go well beyond 150,000 miles without major issues. That's exactly what most people want from a truck like this. If you're looking for a Ford that balances power, reliability, and simplicity, this is one of the safest bets you can make. It's not the most advanced option, but that's precisely why it works so well in the long run. Number 3. Ford Ranger, 2019 present. The Ford Ranger, especially from 2019 onwards, is one of those vehicles that doesn't get as much hype as the F-150, but quietly delivers a very solid ownership experience. And sometimes, that's exactly what you want. This is a mid-size truck that focuses on practicality, efficiency, and durability without trying to overcomplicate things. It's not as big or as powerful as the F-150, but for many people, that's actually an advantage. It's easier to handle, easier to park, and still capable enough for most daily tasks and even light work. The engine setup, while turbocharged, is generally well balanced and designed to deliver consistent performance without being overly stressed. As long as basic maintenance is done properly, these trucks tend to hold up well over time. One of the biggest strengths of the Ranger is that it doesn't try to do too much. It's built with a more straightforward approach, and that usually translates into fewer things going wrong. You're not dealing with excessive complexity or systems that are pushed to their limits. For someone who wants a truck but doesn't need the full size or heavy-duty capability of an F-150, the Ranger is a very smart choice. It gives you the utility and versatility of a pickup without the extra bulk or cost. It's also a great option for people who use their vehicle daily and want something reliable that won't constantly need attention. You can drive it, maintain it properly, and expect it to behave the way it should. In a market where many vehicles are becoming more complex and harder to maintain long-term, the Ranger stands out by doing the basics right. And that's exactly why it earns its place as one of the better Ford models to own. Number 2, Ford Explorer 2016-2019 improved reliability. The Ford Explorer had its issues in earlier years, especially around the 2011-2015 models, but from 2016 onwards, things started to improve. This is one of those cases where a model evolves, fixes its weak points, and becomes a much more solid option. The 2016 to 2019 Explorer benefits from refinements in both transmission behavior and overall reliability. It's not perfect, but compared to previous versions, it's a noticeable step forward. For families or anyone needing space, comfort, and versatility, the Explorer delivers exactly what you expect. It's large enough to handle passengers and cargo, comfortable enough for long drives, and capable enough for daily use without feeling like a burden. The key here is that, when properly maintained, these models tend to avoid the more serious issues seen in earlier versions. Transmission performance is more consistent, and overall driving feel is smoother and more predictable. Like any SUV, especially one that can be used for a wide range of tasks, maintenance is important. But if you stay on top of it, this is a vehicle that can serve you well for many years without turning into a constant problem. It's also widely available, which means parts, knowledge, and servicing are easy to access. That's another factor that makes ownership easier in the long run. If you're looking for a Ford SUV that balances practicality with improved reliability, this generation of the Explorer is a much safer bet compared to its predecessors. Number 1. Ford Mustang 2015 present V8 preferred. The Mustang might not be the first vehicle people think of when talking about reliability, but in the right configuration, it can actually be a very solid choice. Especially from 2015 onwards, when Ford introduced a more refined and modern version of the car. The key here is choosing the right engine. The V8 models, in particular, are known for being robust, relatively simple compared to turbocharged alternatives, and capable of handling power without constant issues if maintained properly. Unlike smaller turbo engines that can be more sensitive to driving habits and maintenance, the V8 Mustang is more straightforward. It delivers power in a more natural way, and that often translates into fewer long-term complications. Of course, this depends heavily on how the car is used. A Mustang that's been abused, constantly pushed to its limits, or poorly maintained is going to have problems like any other vehicle. But when it's owned by someone who takes care of it, it can be surprisingly reliable. Another advantage is that these cars are well understood. There's a huge community, plenty of available parts, and a lot of knowledge around maintenance and common issues. That makes ownership easier and less stressful compared to more obscure or overly complex vehicles. It's not a practical SUV or a work truck, but if you're looking for something that's enjoyable to drive and still capable of holding up over time, the Mustang in this configuration is a strong option. It's one of those cases where performance and reliability don't have to be opposites as long as the car is used and maintained the right way. We've reached the end, but before you go, I want to give you a couple of bonus picks that are also worth considering. I'm sure they're going to impress you. Bonus 2. Ford Crown Victoria, legendary reliability. If there's one Ford that has built a reputation for lasting longer than almost anything else on the road, it's the Ford Crown Victoria. This isn't just another sedan. This is a vehicle that became known for its durability in the most demanding conditions possible. For years, this car was used as a police vehicle, a taxi, and even a government fleet car. And those are not easy lives. We're talking about engines running for hours, constant stop-and-go driving, aggressive use, and minimal downtime. Most cars would fall apart under that kind of pressure, but the Crown Victoria handled it without major issues. A big part of that comes down to its simplicity. The engine, typically the 4.6L V8, is not overly complicated, not pushed to extreme limits, and not packed with fragile components. It's a straightforward, durable setup that focuses on reliability rather than efficiency or cutting-edge performance. Because of that, maintenance is also more predictable and forgiving. You don't have to deal with complex turbo systems, sensitive electronics, or tight tolerances that require perfect conditions all the time. As long as you keep up with basic maintenance, oil changes, cooling system, and general care, these engines just keep going. It's not uncommon to see Crown Victorias with 200,000, 300,000 miles or more still running. And not just running, but doing it without constant breakdowns or expensive repairs. That's something very few modern vehicles can claim. Of course, it's not a modern car, it's not fuel efficient, it's not packed with technology, and it doesn't drive like newer vehicles. But that's not the point. The reason it earns its place here is because it represents what reliability really looks like when a car is built to last instead of being built to meet modern trends. If your goal is to own something that can take abuse, handle high mileage, and keep going without turning into a money pit, the Crown Victoria is one of the clearest examples of how durable a Ford can actually be when it's done right. Bonus 1. Ford Fusion, 2013-2020. The Ford Fusion is one of those cars that doesn't get much hype, but quietly became one of the most common and balanced daily drivers Ford has made in recent years. You see them everywhere, and there's a reason for that. When you choose the right version, it's a car that simply works. From 2013 to 2020, the Fusion offered a mix of comfort, practicality, and decent reliability that made it very appealing for everyday use. It's not a performance car, it's not a truck, and it's not trying to be anything extreme. It's just a well-rounded vehicle designed to handle daily life without constant issues. The key with the Fusion is understanding that not all engine options are equal. Some of the smaller EcoBoost engines had their share of problems, especially if they weren't maintained properly. But when you go for more proven setups, like the 2.5L naturally aspirated engine or well-maintained hybrid versions, the ownership experience becomes much more solid. That's what makes this car interesting. It's not about perfection, it's about choosing wisely. When you avoid the problematic configurations and stick to the more reliable ones, the Fusion becomes a very dependable vehicle that can easily handle high mileage with basic maintenance. It's also a very comfortable car to live with. Smooth ride, good interior space, and a driving experience that doesn't feel stressful or demanding. For someone who just wants to get in, drive, and not worry about constant problems, this matters a lot. Maintenance is generally straightforward, parts are widely available, and there's plenty of knowledge out there about these cars. That makes ownership easier and less unpredictable compared to more complex or less common models. The Fusion isn't flashy and it doesn't try to impress. But when set up correctly, it does exactly what most people actually need from a car. It runs, it lasts, and it doesn't create unnecessary headaches. And in the real world, that's exactly what makes it a strong choice. So, there you have it. The Ford models that can save you money, and the ones that can cost you a lot if you're not careful. Choose wisely, maintain it properly, and you'll avoid most of the problems people complain about. See you on the road, buddy.